Good evening. This is Rotary E Club of District 7710. It is Tuesday, May the 14th. We are very happy to have you, and we're looking forward to our speaker tonight. I'd like to have Kevin Primus go ahead and introduce her. Kevin.
Hello, everyone. This is Kevin Primus, and tonight we're going to have Daria Drake, who is, among other things, the Art and Communication Director at Live Globally. And she is also an environmental activist, artist, designer, and the founder of the Durham Originals, an eco-life guide. She was taught at a young age about nature, interconnectedness, and non-judgment. And these themes can be seen in all aspects of her life and practice. Daria founded the Durham Originals in 2015. I know that because I have one of her shirts that says 2015 is when it was founded. And she has been very active in helping the sustainability movement in Durham. And tonight she's going to talk with us about sustainable local development and the Eco Life Challenge, which she just completed the second Eco Life Challenge a couple of days ago. So Daria, thank you so much for being with us tonight, and we look forward to interacting with you on these topics.
Thank you so much, Kevin, for that really, really nice, generous introduction. Sometimes I think when we're inventing what we want to do and breaking away from convention, you can feel like you're in outer space and like nobody else is floating along. So to hear all those things and that feels affirming. So thank you so much. Yeah, I had the idea to start the Durham Originals in 2015. I would say things really started moving in probably halfway through 2016. And I'm trained as a graphic designer, and I grew up, with art and dance and all these things. So I moved back to Durham in 2014. And I was learning a lot about the eco life and just things that were happening because of climate change and the fact that our habits are influencing what happens on the planet right now. And it felt to me that I needed to do something about that. So I just dove into the scene and started volunteering and for Don't Waste Durham and Keep Durham Beautiful, and soon was on the board of those things, as well as moving my own initiatives along and trying to just learn and grow as much as possible from being around some peers. So the Durham Originals is newly rebranded as the Eco Life Guide, and I really wanted to take the attention away from all the negative things that we really have no control over, like politics and what big corporations are doing, and say, okay, here are actions that I can take every single day, and my habit is going to make a measurable, significant impact. So if I can do, these certain things, maybe I can inspire my neighbor, my friend, my brother, whoever, to maybe explore some sort of different way of doing things. And maybe we can spread the message of the eco life, and we can actually make a difference in the world as to what happens in the next, 25 years. So the Durham Originals Eco Life Guide is born to inform the community of our unlimited potential to make change and supply the tools needed to integrate eco-consciousness into your lifestyle, and we hope you leave inspired. So 2017, I did the first Eco Life Challenge, and it was really just kind of a little Instagram contest. And I had some help this year, and of course, I've had lots of experiences that have helped grow the Durham Originals, and I've connected with so many more people. So we were able to get over 140 people signed up to do this challenge. And the challenge is 12 days, and you have 10 challenges. that you need to complete and document in order to win a grand prize. So basically, I wanted to bring the community in and have incentives for people to want to participate and to be interested and to capture their attention, and give them extra time to do things, because I like to be really nice and cushy with people with this stuff so that they'll feel welcome and like they want to do it and they feel like they're a part of it. So here's the full details. Made for those who seek to take action for present and future generations to come, and those who wish to live a little kinder towards the planet. And the idea is that we have 10 different challenges, and they all touch on something that's super important and you can dive super deep into. But this is just basically like an introduction of each one of these ways of thinking and ways of doing things, so that people can just get a taste of it and see what they can pick up in their own life. And if it starts with one small change, that is change, and that is a good thing. So there are 10 challenges. Of course, y'all can go to my website, thedurhamoriginals.com, and you can find the Eco Life Challenge at the top and look at like all of the challenge details. And so we sent an email out every single morning at 6 a.m. unveiling the next day's challenge. And we had a lot of prizes coincide with some of the challenges. And one thing next year that we really want to try and do is like have a nice long runway so that we can match organizations and businesses to different challenges that go together, because there are people there are organizations and individuals doing things like for specific elements of the eco life, and the Durham Originals really tries to kind of pull everything together. So for the collective, and here are some of the logos of our sponsors. And my design marketing stuff is called Drake House. So you'll see that at the top left corner, because we did everything, of course. So everything was like super local, from the gifts and the prizes that we gave away. You can see these are all basically, everyone is from Durham except for one of the apparel companies. But they're doing amazing things, and I'm so glad to have them on board. Okay, so let's see. That is kind of the Eco Challenge. Oh, this is a nice page. I just published this page, and this is kind of a roundup of all of the challenges. And so, like I mentioned, so 141 participants. We were able to pick up around 75 pounds of, and we call it litter pollution because litter is pollution. It's not just like a thing on the ground. And then, so these are all pictures. Most of them are from the people who played the challenge. So you can see there was cooking and food involved, planting things, picking up trash, composting, reducing plastic waste. We talk a lot about slow fashion, so choosing things that are made consciously, shopping locally, how can we divert food waste, alternative transportation. I'm seeing some of the pictures in here twice, so sorry about that. And then, okay, so there's the summary. And I don't know how long I've been talking or what else you all want to hear about, but that's kind of a summary of what it is I'm doing. And I would be happy, maybe I could show you all. I do have something, let's see if I've got that window, that thing open. So this is a guide that I'm working on too. So really trying to affirm and establish this entity as being the Eco Life Guide. So when people sign up for our newsletters, this is a new thing. So actually, you all are getting a pre-look at this. So it just talks about the Durham Originals and why we're here. And then we're sending them 25 things you can do to help save the planet and feel really good too. And then we have these nice little icons on the side to help people really see, like, oh, this is going to help my bank account. This is going to help my heart. This is going to help the sky. And just making it really friendly and approachable, because I think a lot of times people get wrapped up in this idea of like the eco life is so alternative, and maybe that means, like, I don't know, a smelly hippie. So just trying to normalize things and make it really approachable to people, and attractive, because I'm a graphic designer, so I want to make stuff, especially important stuff, look good. So that's that. We'll go back to the screen. I'll show you some of my reuse items. So of course we want to help people integrate the eco life, inform, integrate, and inspire. And these are our little featured items. So the food bags are made with upcycled fabric from a local company here in Durham called Spoonflower, and they have a remnant fabric program. So we scoop up some of that would-be landfill waste, and then either dye the bags or just leave them plain white. And then we get also fabric from the scrap exchange, so we can make these fun little pattern bags. So those are those. And then Kevin loves this one. This one's good. So we have these utensil kits, and this is definitely like really hitting a home run, I think, with people, because everyone knows about the sea turtles and the straws, and this is right there beside it. So every time I go to pick up trash, I see some kind of serviceware element, plastic pollution that is on the earth. So hi, Mom. And then we have eco-conscious tees. When we talk about fast fashion, that's apparel that's produced in mass quantities with complete disregard to human rights and environmental awareness. It's extremely polluting. It uses so much water. Like when we want to talk about water, like look straight at the apparel industry. So these we sell organic teas. Some of them are blended with recycled plastic bottles, like these first two right here. And then the rest is 100% organic cotton. And it's grown in the USA, sewn in the USA, like from seed to finished thing. It happens here, and the workers are paid a living wage. And so we're just looking at the supply chain all the way until we bring it to our customers. So that's our little store. And then I'm still working on, as you can see, we have a new website launching June 10. And so the eco guide, this page might look a little bit more like that guide that I showed you. But then we'll just put our favorite posts to help people start doing good. And these are some of the organizations that I work a lot with here in Durham, like collaboratively, and as well as serving on the board for these two entities. And then we have our little blog. And I think I have given you a lot. Do you all want to ask me questions?
Well, thank you for.
Was that enough?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll open up to everyone as they want to speak. Some of you are still on mute. You can unmute yourself and ask questions.
Hey, Daria, this is Kevin. I just wanted to open up and say, could you dive into one or two of the challenges and
Sure.
why you picked it and what, like, pick one of the challenges and tell us about it and why should motivate us to try one of these challenges.
Okay. All right. Eeny, meeny, miny. Well, let's pick challenge one since I already kind of talked about the litter and the pollution and stuff. So this one is really nice. I chose this because, well, it's funny. Why did I choose it? It's so obvious. There's trash everywhere, like even in the nicest of communities, as it's saying on my screen. But all this trash goes into our water supply and our streams and rivers. They go into the ocean, and the animals are choking, and the water and the reefs. Everything is at stake right now. So this is also like a fun thing. Get a friend, grab your neighbor, your housemate, your brother, and just get some gloves and a plastic bag and see how much you can pick up in just 30 minutes. And you will be amazed at how much you find. Um, yeah, okay, so let's look at this. And as I mentioned, okay, so plastic is the main form of litter because anything that's paper or an organic material will biodegrade, and then what's left is this plastic waste, which is literally suffocating us. It's getting in the air, it's getting in our water supply, it's leaching toxins into our water. It's leaching toxin, and then the animals drink the water, and then some people eat the animals, and humans have plastic inside of them. So in case you were wondering. So here's our recommended. I think my post is a little less dramatic than that. As I mentioned, I'm trying to keep things lighthearted, but I'm also kind of like real. I'm like, here's the deal. Like, it's time to clean up. So our recommended action is call some friends, blah, blah, blah. And we picked up, what did I say, about like 70 pounds of trash. We had people try and send us their totals. So I'm sure I actually know for a fact not everybody did that, but so it was more than that, but we're taking 70 pounds or 75, whatever we said. So then we try and here's some great reasons why we don't want to have litter, because litter makes more litter. And of course, I mentioned the wildlife. It's not just marine animals, though. It's also birds. It's little foxes. It's turtles. They get stuck in the plastic, and the plastic doesn't move, and the animals grow, or whatever. It's bad news. And then, I love this one. Create a community. You can bring people together by doing something like over a common interest. And so, like the bigger vision outside of just oneself, connecting with people and really putting some care into our physical surroundings. And then, of course, exercise, bending and stretching and lifting and patting your friend on the back for doing such a great job cleaning up trash. So that's my best friend Mary's hand, in case you were wondering. Okay, let's pick. Oh gosh, which one? Which one's this? Oh, reuse and ditch single use. This is a good one to go along with the trash stuff, because this is why we have so much trash. Is because so much of our conveniences are wrapped up in single use plastics, especially single use plastic water bottles, straws, those utensils, and another, as I mentioned, the plastic is getting in everything. If you use don't use plastic bottles anymore, because they did tests and they found plastic in all the water bottles, like all the brands. So get a stainless steel water bottle and take it with you everywhere and just reuse it. And that will improve your life and you will save money. So, okay. So the average American tosses almost 4.5 pounds of trash a day. So you can like quickly do the multiplication, and then we need to remember that there is no away, and that our landfills are really just as much a part of our environment and our communities as our neighbor's house or our backyard. So it's really up to us as consumers to halt that cycle in the beginning. And I know there's this big zero waste movement, and that can seem really scary and intimidating. So my attitude and approach is like, just pick one thing and just start with the water bottle and just get that down, go and pat. And then you can be like, okay, I'm remembering to say no to the straws at the restaurant. So then that's your next thing. And so as long as we're improving, then we're making change and we're making a difference. And I think this is also a really important thing to acknowledge, that we're 5% of the global population and we're making that much trash. So we can blame it on other people all we want. But the reality is that we are the heaviest consumers. So even just like reducing is going to make a huge difference. Oh yeah. And this is like, this may have been a statistic of the year or something. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, it was like single-use plastic was the word of the year. And then this was the statistic of the year last year. 9% of the 8.3 billion tons of plastic ever made has been recycled. So it's in landfills and it's in the environment. And that is just, it's great for the plastics industry. So as long as we're buying those products, then they are the ones that are going to get funded, and the pollution will continue to enter our waterways and our environment. So I won't go too much more into that, but I like this guy. He's a zero waste vegan chef in the UK. So good job. Live plastic free. Okay, and there's a nice little summary. So some of these challenges have like more information because this stuff is dense. So here's what to ditch, and here's what to bring. And all right, so there's 2 challenges. Was that good, Kevin?
That was excellent. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Other questions from everyone else?
Do you have any top short-term goals and top long-term goals? And how might Rotary be able to assist in any of that?
Yes, I am trying to make this business more financially sustainable. And my dog might start barking. I'm just warning you. I would love to hear other people's I would love to hear other people's ideas around how you can make, I mean, this Eco Life Challenge was basically like a full-time job. So how we can make this sustainable, like if we had a longer runway, we would be able to get like financial sponsors rather than just like prize contributors. So that's one thing. And then also maybe like scaling the challenge, and can communities in different places do this challenge on their own time, or maybe dive deeper into a challenge. As far as like other long-term goals, what I really, and this is like super fresh in my brain because I just had a meeting about this week and last week, is that in Durham, I'm looking to create an eco village, we're calling it, and it would be a paradigm for like a different way of living. The building structure would be made completely of reused materials. we would invite the community to come in and share in eco workshops, yoga practice, learning how to compost and grow gardens and collect rainwater, and about pollinator gardens and how to live more zero waste. So it would be like this living, breathing example of a more sustainable paradigm for living and education. So those are some of them. And then also, I'm not sure exactly how Rotary could help, but I am good about telling, answering questions and like talking about my things. So
we do have volunteers. I mean, so we, if you see an opportunity, maybe in the eco village, if you had to build or do anything that we require, like a service project opportunity for us to build or to volunteer in any way, we can do that. And we also invite other Rotary clubs throughout the area. So the district is pretty large. So we put like a invitation to all, depending on how many numbers you need.
Cool. Okay.
So yes, there's other ways, financial, of course, as well. But
yeah. Well, and I will be raising money, and a big part of that is like matching people with people who are interested in contributing to those sorts of projects, and supporting in that way is really big too. So
anyone else have questions?
Daria, this is Shireen. I have a question for you. So I have a dental office and we use plastic bottles of water. Now I've seen some offices use machines. Do you have, machines to get water? Is there any brand you recommend that is reasonably priced so I can replace the bottles of water?
So describe to me, do you have like a little refrigerator that you're providing?
Yes.
Okay.
So there is a little refrigerator with small bottles of water.
So maybe I would recommend, you've seen those like gallon jugs that it's bigger than a gallon. It might be like a 5-gallon jug that flips upside down and it is a dispenser.
Now, yes. Now, I have seen some offices that have a piece of equipment that doesn't use plastic at all, but I don't remember where I've seen it. I was wondering if you know where to get them or any brand that you recommend. So it doesn't even have those larger gallons of water.
So, and you have a kitchen at your?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe what you could do is find like a vase kind of receptacle thing, and just, it could be a vase or a pitcher, and every morning you can fill it with fresh water and have glasses beside in case somebody wants a glass of water. They can come and pour a little glass of water. So that's one solution. And then another could be, as I mentioned before, I'm not sure what brands would not have plastic for the flip upside down dispensers. But those are, because it's a harder plastic, there's going to be less of that, less of a worry that the plastic will get into that water supply. But I love this super simple solution of just having a couple pitchers of water, putting some glasses out there, and who doesn't want to feel like, oh, I get a glass of water when I go to the dentist? Like, I would love that.
Yes.
Like temperature, just a nice thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have seen, Sharon, those without the things on top. I can send you some of the ones I've seen.
That would be great.
Because they connect to your, like she was saying, your kitchen. It connects to your plumbing.
Exactly. Thank you.
You're welcome. Glad I could help.
Anyone else? Any other questions for Daria?
Oh, that's a nice piece of information. Kevin said Durham was awarded best drinking water. Interesting.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and the other, not to like go off on this crazy tangent, the other problem with water bottles is that they're taking water from other communities and selling their water, and they're making gobs and gobs of money. And who are the people that, whose interests do they have in mind? Not the community that they're taking the water from. So this is a very, very important topic. Thank you for bringing that up.
Anyone else with questions or comments?
Daria, this is Rich. Can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you,
Hi.
Rich.
Okay. Just have a question. A lot of effort is put into family units, and how they can improve. Individuals, how we can improve as individuals. But and I don't know about commercial enterprises, especially factories and things, how they do, because it'll cost them money to do the right thing very often.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
not very popular among those who are profit making. Now,
Mm-hmm.
then you have the non-profit organizations. I worked for one. I didn't work for one. I volunteered for one. And they basically, because they would have to have paid for additional plastic recycling bin, or I should say recycling bins, to rent them, they just gave up doing it. And
Mm-hmm.
eventually we came up with the idea of just, a part of the service that we would give as volunteers would be to drive things to the dump. Well, that got old after a while too. So I guess my question is there any effort being put in by organizations like yours to assist those groups, not the commercial ones that God knows they should be able to afford to do the right thing themselves, but
Yeah.
they're the ones that like the nonprofits, and there are lots of them, and they produce a lot of junk, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Yeah.
what do you do with them? Is there anyone out there looking after them because they are such heavy producers of junk?
Mm-hmm. I would just like to thank you for your question. I live across the street from a church, and I see that they create a lot of trash. So I think that is kind of what you're referring to. Am I understanding you?
Yeah, church is an excellent
Right.
example.
Example.
I mean,
Okay.
the ones that the one that I was talking about specifically makes so much because they're, the secondhand store kind of a thing, a commission and secondhand store.
Yeah.
So they bring as much, the stuff comes to the place for sale, and it's already junk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they look at it and they say, oh, half of this has to be thrown away right now. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can get money out of it, but most of the stuff like paper and bound books and things like that, you have to do something special with, and that usually
Right.
costs money.
Right. Take it to a certain place. Well, I will say, actually, yeah. So thank you for that question. A friend, colleague of mine, her name is Elizabeth Bryce. She goes by Bryce. She recently started a company called Gather Green. So I'm going to answer your question in, I think, probably multiple ways. And she is contracted to go into a place of business or go to an event and help separate and take care of the waste, like in whatever way that is: composting, recycling, landfill, reuse. So there is that. I think what I specifically am thinking about, like with the church or with a company, corporate responsibility, biblical responsibility. Is there a way that somebody could be an agent of like change and go in and say, okay, I'm going to examine your practices. I'm going to take a look around and see what we can change. Are you asking me if somebody's doing that specifically?
I'm just wondering if there's if there's thought put into it, if there's any
If there's what?
if there's thought being put into it, enough
Yeah.
thought being put into those
Yeah.
types of
Yeah.
organizations that not individuals. You can make me cringe if you make me feel guilty enough. I'll do what you say. I promise.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know.
But when you
I
have
think,
huge
yeah,
volumes
this
of things, people tend to forget.
hmm No, you've been touching on you've touched on like this thing I've kind of been meditating over, and that's like my business is very young, and we did this eco challenge and had all these people want to participate, including businesses and organizations, and I'm like, what can I do with this eco life challenge and kind of take it on the road? There are lots of different forms. Like we have the eco guide. So I'm thinking in my head too, I have been thinking like maybe there is some kind of a certification somebody could get if they do these eco courses or whatever. And then they can be like a sustainability officer and go to an organization and help them figure out how to reduce their waste in the first place so that they don't have um, loads of stuff that gets hauled to the dump every week. So I'm thinking about, um, do people want to learn how to do this stuff? Is there some kind of a status change that happens when you can be an expert in sustainability and helping a company or an organization reduce their waste? What is the incentive for somebody to want to do that? What businesses are interested in corporate social responsibility and would want to hire somebody to do that job, or contract somebody to do that job and help them do that? So these are the questions that I'm asking right now. And you really just brought that up again. So I would be,
Well,
yeah.
Daria,
Yes.
with that said, there are countries, I know Tanzania is one, Kenya is another, that are focused on not using plastic at all. People will be imprisoned, honestly, if they are using plastics. And I know that we're talking here about straws. I just went to Google Hof and they have hay. Their straws are made out of hay. And it was totally interesting. I
How
actually
was
could taste it.
it?
I could actually taste the hay.
Yeah.
But
That's
it
amazing.
was actually
Sorry, you
pretty
just broke up a
cool
little
to
bit.
know that we're going to great lengths.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking was there's incentives like
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. I can't hear anything. Hello.
if you become CMMI level, whatever, you are able to get other opportunities to have contracts. So if there's government incentives for corporations to eliminate waste, I know before this presidency, we were focused on the UN, trying to everyone working on the emissions and pollution and all of that. So if there's something government wide, whether it be state, federal, local government that is encouraging their corporations to reduce, then what you are saying would be spot on, because it would be hand in hand with what they're trying to do. And like you said, a certification, people would jump at it. It's a new opportunity for employment and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it may be
That's
something, a conversation you have with, the city mayor or someone, to say, are you looking at this? Is this a concern for this city? I mean, starting on a small scale, and then maybe working with the restaurants or working with different corporations to see if they would buy into this as well.
Yeah, Don't Waste Durham. This is a nonprofit that I'm on the board of. They've introduced, like, I think it's called voluntary legislation to city council to get I can't remember exactly all the details. Oh God, but it has to do with like banning single-use plastics in restaurants and grocery stores. So I'm not sure when exactly. I mean, and again, it would be voluntary because anything that we can do, anything that can be done has to be done at a state level, and that's like a whole nother ball game of work. Yeah. So I think looking into exactly the details from that voluntary, it's some kind of voluntary ban, and seeing where that's living right now would be great.
Sorry, with that said, I thank you. Sorry. I thank you for your time, and we thank you for your inspiration. I'm going to share my screen.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you're not done. We're just
okay.
Switching gears.
Okay.
This is just appreciation of thanks for Daria Drake for imparting her valuable insights and inspiration as our guest speaker. And this is great because it's electronic. I don't have to print out paper.
Yeah.
So, anyway, with that said, we'd like to do our 4-way test. And Leanna, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, Leanna, this is one of the things that we say as we close out our Rotary meetings, and it would be great if you could say this with me. The 4-way test.
The 4-way test. Oh, sorry.
That's fine. Of the things we think, say, or do.
The
first. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. Should I just wait for you to finish the whole thing?
No, you could just say it with me. That's fine.
I got you. Sorry.
That's okay. First
it is
the truth.
Second,
is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth,
will it be beneficial to all
concerned? And with that, we thank you all and ask you to have a good night. I will stop sharing, and you can, I'm going to go ahead and